Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel Joji Studios Unboxing and Tech, where all we talk about is tech. We do unboxing, we do tech reviews, and now the very first episode of our podcast. Today, I'm really excited because I have one of my really good friends. He's like a brother to me. He's like a spiritual brother to me as well. We've been working for almost like 8 years together. We've done a lot of videos together. We've done a lot of corporate videos, product videos. I've learned a lot from this guy as well. In fact, he is the one who introduced me to the corporate video culture, and I'm very thankful because I did make a lot of money in that industry. I'm going to introduce a very good friend of mine, a very creative individual, photographer, videographer, Serge from Pick Video Studio. Serge, welcome to the very first episode of Joji Studios.
Thank you, Shezan. That was a great introduction. You said it. I mean, I also have to hand it to you, not just on my side, because I've learned a lot from you as well. And we do go way back since 2015, I believe, yes. And we had great times together, and it's all about the journey and learning from one another. I don't see it as a competition. We're all here to learn, and we're all here to inspire and teach one another. It's not just me doing this alone. It's we. If you flip the letters, it becomes we. So thank you for your lessons as well, and thank you for having me. This is great, and I can't wait to see you and watch you grow as well.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited that this is the very first podcast. I've done podcasts before, but on the tech side, on the production side, video, photography, and all those stuff, this is the very first podcast that I'm doing. It's the episode number 1 on this channel as well. So
no pressure.
I'm really happy that I have you on board on that.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
How did you get started into this industry like photography and videography?
Well, my background actually started as a graphic designer in print production. I started my career at Canadian Tire head office in their advertising / marketing department. And my very first job was this is going back to film days, just to store content that they would film. They used, like I said, film photography, and we would scan the film and then store it into our servers. And I was also in charge of scanning and tracing logos for their advertisements as well. So, for example, if there was a new Black & Decker logo for their drill, the file, they would send me a picture of it. This was, again, back in the day where digital was just starting to make way. I used to use Illustrator to trace and recreate the logos for them.
So it was like hand tracing, like a trace paper or glaze paper, something like that?
So we would scan it, and I would use the mouse to retrace it in Illustrator, and then they would give me it's as if you're in the print world, you know what Pantone colors are. So everything used to be in Pantone and CMYK. So I started with, as I said, as a content creator for storing content on Canadian Tire's servers or content management server. And long story short, so from there, I went to Air Miles. Again, same kind of position, but more to do with finalizing the files before you went up to print. And again, this is back in the print days. And slowly and surely, all the companies, I started to phase out print production, and then they went more online, where it was more e-newsletters versus getting direct mail. And unfortunately, they had to downsize. And myself and a few other colleagues were let go. I was severance out. But I did make good connections at that company. In return, from there, I moved on to another company called Gentech International. And Gentech actually distributes Sigma lenses, as you're aware. And then I learned this is where my love of video and photography kind of was born. So I started learning a lot of the lenses and cameras and different gears. And it was a new position in the company. And I started working on editing their corporate / promo videos for them. And I just developed this love for videography and photography from there. And again, using my design experience, which helped.
The attention to detail,
exactly.
That's where it comes from. Now I know how come you're
because
so
with a design, everything has to be in a specific measurement, and lines have to flow, beautifully.
And that's what I love about your work. We still work together. I still edit corporate videos for you, and the attention to detail that you have. I'm still learning from you from that.
Yeah.
How do you manage to do that?
Thank you. Yeah, my focus to detail. I think it also comes with my having ADD. Kind of helps, because if it doesn't look great for me, I disregard it and I move on to something else. But yeah, that's where the attention to detail developed for me in earlier in my career. Videography started as a passion for me back in the days when I used to do home videos with my cousins. So, there was before the internet, before smartphones, and my brother had purchased an old 8mm colored viewfinder camera. And because we were bored, we had nothing else to do. We're around 16, 17 years old. So we would create home videos with the cousins. So we'd create scenarios, film this, and we didn't even necessarily edit it together, but we filmed it in such a way that the editing was done in camera.
Yeah.
And, the show Cops, Bad Boys, Bad Boys. So we recreated scenes like that, and we just had fun. So I had it in me to, for whatever reason, to create this content and use an old school camcorder that my brother had bought to create video content just for entertainment purposes for my family. And that actually resonated with me. I said, how can, fast forward 30 years later, and now I do this for a living. And it doesn't feel like I do this for a living because I'm having fun, right? And a lot of people, look and say, "Oh, Serge, you're having fun," but I'm having fun now. But I did pay my dues earlier, and made lots of mistakes and learned from it. Long hours, work for other people, and learned from other people as well, the skill sets. And everyone I surround myself with, there's always a lesson for me.
There's always something to take away from that.
For sure. So from there, I just had a love for videography and photography. At the same time, on weekends, I was editing my cousin's wedding services. So this was going back to when he was mini DV tapes, and we would digitize the mini DVs, and he would give me the footage, and I was using iMovie at the time, believe it or not, to do the editing for him. And I had an old white iMac G4. That's where my love for wedding videography also started. I saw how he was filming his videos, and I said, yeah, you know what? Let me try wedding videography myself. Mind you, 20 years before that, I was helping a wedding videographer. This was, again, back in the days where it's SVHS, and then you needed someone to hold the light for you.
Oh, the big cameras on the shoulders.
Exactly. So I was an assistant setting up lighting. I didn't like the industry back then. It was just it was long hours. The gear was expensive if you want to start your own business. So I said I put it on hold for that time. So going back to editing wedding videos, I was seeing other people, how they're putting the video, how they're shooting and framing their shots. And I just developed a love for wedding videography. I didn't own my camera, so I went out. I didn't have a camera, so I went out and rented my first camera on weekends from Vistec. Everyone pretty much knows Vistec. And then just got practicing. I kept practicing. And I didn't even have a demo to show to anyone. My first wedding job was someone had referred me saying that Serge is doing wedding videography now. And I presented my package. I did some research online. I put a package together, and sure enough, I sold them the top tier package. My first wedding, and I was like, wow, okay, this is great.
This is great. It seems to be working.
And from there, I just kept shooting weddings on weekends, part-time, developing my skills, watching other people, do their thing as well. And I took all the information from different people in the industry. And then using my own skills, I developed a set of kind of rules and set my own working pattern for videography. And going back to my first year, I didn't even have a business card. It was so, I remember...
it was all word of mouth.
It was all word of mouth, and I used to be so nervous because for anyone that does wedding videography, just being at a wedding alone is stressful. On top of that, you're dealing with the bride, wife-to-be on the day, and they're nervous, and you can't let that nervousness affect you because as soon as they sense that you're nervous, forget it. The days are not
Yeah,
gonna go
the bride
straight.
and groom. I mean, like I've been into wedding industry for like 5-6 years as well. And the bride and groom are so like full of anxiety that day. They're like extremely stressed out, and there's so much family dramas going on the wedding day as well. You have to be calm and composed on that.
No, for sure, for sure. And that actually came with experience over the years. I remember one year I needed someone to help me as a second camera, and he was a new film student, graduated, and he thought he can, film student. He's worked on sets before. He has the experience, and he thought, oh, it's a wedding. What can go wrong, right? And I remember he was already skinny guy to begin with. And by the end of the day, he probably lost another 10 pounds. And he came up to me and said, "Serge, thank you for your experience, but I don't think I can do weddings. This is not what I thought it
Not
would
for
be."
me.
I said, "No problem. Thanks for coming up." But yeah, it is a lot. It could be overwhelming. But again, my advice to anyone that's looking into getting in the wedding videography business, it's a great start if you want to develop your skills into doing other things such as corporate videos or promo videos, because you're networking. There's going to be a lot of people at that event. A lot of people say, "Oh, you still do weddings? Why?" I mean, and I say, "Why not?
Why not?
It's a fun environment. Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
You're networking, right? And you'll understand this concept later on in your career, is you're selling yourself. So it doesn't matter if you're going to a wedding event, a corporate event, if it's a church event or a synagogue or a mosque, doesn't matter. You're meeting people.
Yep. You're the brand.
You're the brand. So when people ask you, what do you do? I usually say, how much time do you have? Because it's broad, right? Especially these days, content creators are in such demand. So it's a great business, and I'm not being biased. I love what I do, obviously, and it just shows in my work, because you do have to work hard into first of all, you have to work hard on yourself. You have to develop your skills. You can read all these books, which are great. You can watch other people's contents, which is great. But at the end of the day, it has to be your own, right? I learned one thing when I used to take martial arts. My instructor told us 70% of what I'm teaching you, it's going to resonate with you. The rest is up. The 30% is up to you, how you apply it, right? And that stuck with me, because it's true. A lot of times we want to, it's great to compare yourself with someone else, but at the end of the day, it's going to be your work that's going to showcase and your talents as well.
Exactly. Speaking of the weddings and all that, and considering the 2024, the new day and age smartphones, have you ever filmed a wedding or corporate video on a smartphone?
I've done a corporate event because I was going to San Diego for a summit, and I didn't want to take two cameras with me on a gimbal. So what I did at the time, I believe it was the iPhone 7 I had, and I bought a gimbal for the smartphone. Outdoors, it was great because we had good enough lighting. But as soon as I was inside the conference area, it was grainy. So I had to bring in post and correct the noise. So I don't, even though the newer phones are better, I don't recommend shooting on an iPhone unless you have to. It's always great to have a backup. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff with my phone, so that's great to have. But I wouldn't recommend, because you run into, it depends on what phone you have, memory space. The color is usually saturated, unless you're shooting on the new iPhone, which you can shoot S-Log now and then record to
The 15 Pro Max is pretty good,
record on external memory. It's up to you. At the end of the day, it all comes down to preferences.
I think with the newer phones like Galaxy S23 Ultra and iPhone 15 Pro Max, for the wide angle, I think they're doing pretty good job. You can incorporate the wide angle. You can get away with that. For the close-up, I'm not too sure about that. But for the wide angles, they're pretty good.
Setting it on the wide angle as well, it's pretty stabilized. I was actually surprised to watch, play back the footage I shot on the widest setting on my lens. On my iPhone, I have the iPhone 13 Max. And it's pretty good. And I also like, this is for iPhones, how with the new Final Cut, you can choose your spots, focus spots, when you bring that in. I think that's great, and I think other cameras should incorporate that technology
So speaking of the smartphones and like the newer features that the phones are providing, even in the video editing softwares, like as you said, the Final Cut Pro has an option that you can select the focus point later on in the post. Do you really think that AI is going to jeopardize the jobs of videographers and video editors in the future? If not, then why and why not? Like,
I don't think it's going to jeopardize. If anything, it's going to enhance and help us better our skills and talents. Because it's just going to open up another avenue for you to be more creative in different ways. Now, is it going to replace us? I don't think so. Because I mean, I don't see how AI is going to replace someone that's going to shoot a live event, like a concert, or even a wedding, for example. Like, who are you going to send? What AI are you going to send? You're not going to send robots to shoot someone's, because you're capturing emotion, and I don't think you can teach emotion into AI, at least not yet. It will definitely enhance and make things better for us. I haven't really incorporated it yet. I know with Photoshop and Lightroom, there's a lot of advancements in that. So, like I said, you work with hand in hand, right? At the end of the day, you still need someone to command the AI prompt. So,
with the shooting, as you said, like you need to capture the emotion. The AI has not been able to figure that out as yet. But I think in terms of video editing, the AI has reduced a lot of time. It has made people a lot very efficient. Like there's so many platforms online that literally transcribe your video in real time, and then you can edit the transcribe. I mean, like you don't have to be a video editor anymore.
Yeah.
For example, there's a website called Riverside.fm. I've been using that for a while, and you just upload your video or record the video on their platform. They transcribe your video in real time, and instead of editing the video on the timeline, you just edit the transcription of the video, and it's going to edit the video like on the fly. So that just makes your job so much more efficient. You can get out more content in lesser time, and take on more projects, and in return it's more business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I think AI has made the editing part very efficient. For the videography, I think the humans are going to last like pretty much for a very long time, because you need to have that eye.
no, for sure. And this is what is unique about being creative. You see things the way you are, and I see things the way I am because of our differences, right? But differences meaning in our creativity in a good
In a
way.
different eye, different perspective.
Exactly, yeah. And you can't teach that to someone. It has to come, within.
Naturally, yeah.
Naturally, yeah. I mean, it is going to free up time, and free time you can focus more on growing your business as well. And this is why you allocate your, edits to someone else versus doing it yourself, because now being a business owner. And sorry, let me go back to what in this industry, what's so great about it. You can work for someone else, but at the end of the day, you're only going to reach a certain level of growth. You're going to be capped at a certain salary. You're going to be capped on a certain position.
Yeah.
There's going to be other people. But when you're self-employed, you're your own CEO, you're making up your own hours. And even though they're long hours, they're your own hours.
Yeah.
And so I don't sit here, look at my time and say, it's 6 o'clock, I'm going to go home, or it's 9 o'clock, now I got to get out of bed. I make my own hours.
You're not a clock watcher anymore.
No. But I do put in my time, and and this is the flexibility you have, and it frees up your time as well. And yeah, I mean, we're here doing podcasts on our own time.
Time, yeah, exactly. I mean, like you are like very busy with the production as well. I'm doing a lot of production content creation on YouTube as well, and like this is the freedom that we get as video production companies, as videographers, as self-employed people, that we can literally allocate time whenever we want at our convenience. And so I think that's one of the biggest advantage in being self-employed and having your own production company. Going in 2024, industry is growing massively. What kind of content are clients asking nowadays? I mean, like, what kind of content is more in demand? I mean, like, I understand there used to be like a very long form videos back in the day. Even the corporate companies that I'm dealing with as well, and I'm pretty sure you're going through the same, are mostly asking for the short form content. Like, can you summarize it? Can you make one long form content and divide it into shorter chunks? So how's your experience? Like, what kind of content like these corporate companies are asking for nowadays?
I am seeing a lot of demand in testimonial videos, especially in recruiting. Companies are now struggling to keep people employed and to keep them happy, right? That's one of the bigger challenges right now, with just getting out there and seeing how what companies are doing. They're having a hard time holding employees for long term. It goes back to what I was saying, like being self-employed. I guess it's different for our field, but again, AI is going to start to replace some of these jobs. Some of these jobs are going overseas, but then at the same time, the ones that you want to keep here, because COVID kind of changed everything around.
Yeah.
People are working from home, don't want to come back.
Yeah.
So they probably started something on the side. They put everything behind them and followed their passion, and they're probably doing something else. So now companies are having a hard time recruiting people. So going back to what I was saying, so there's a big demand on that type of testimonials for recruitment for HR, because now employees that are working for that certain company, they're giving their testimonials why come and work for this company because of a number of reasons. And it could be different for each company. So that's one. Training videos. Instead of having fly someone in to do a big conference, you can record that person now from anywhere, and then just edit the content and then have it on the company's website for employees to learn from training videos and how to do things, or even if there's a new employment training video that you want to have someone go, like health and safety. So things like that are in demand. And also, I guess, events that these companies hold, holiday events, yearly events. Some do, treat their employees on, employee field day or something. Yeah. So there's always different events happening. I don't see a shortage. Again, it all depends how you line up yourself with your clients, right? And always bring them ideas. A lot of other times people want to have a fresh look and change, but they don't know what to do with content. They know they want to create content, but they don't know how. So, offer them a podcast service. That's in trend right now. Yeah, always bring a solution to them.
In this industry, especially in the corporate industry that I've noticed, and that has helped me a lot, if you can help them achieve something efficiently and in the least amount of time, they're going to appreciate it so much. And trust me, and I heard it in one of the podcasts on TikTok or YouTube, I guess. It was I think it was Alex Hermanzi, as one of the very famous entrepreneur and content creator. And he said, if you can find a solution to the rich people's problem, they're going to make you rich as well. And I think that thing is a very living example of on social media right now, that a lot of people want more and more content in as fast as possible. And I've seen so many content creators grow so excessively on social media just because they're taking care of all their problems on social media. They're taking care of their branding, they're taking care of their content, shooting and edit, because these people are busy. All these people, even a lot of known and big content creators have huge team. For example, there's a very famous content creator called Abdaal. He's a British Pakistani guy, and his YouTube channel is all about productivity. He teaches you how to be productive and more efficient. His channel blew up because his teaching methods are so amazing. But aside the fact that he has made a fortune out of the YouTube, he's also taught a lot of people how to make that fortune to the YouTube. He's made so many people so much more efficient, and he himself has a team of 12 or 14 people working with him behind the scene. So that is one of the biggest example. If you when you initially said as a business creator, you need to be able to delegate your things as well. You can't do everything on your own.
No,
if you want to grow, you need to bring in more people to the team and divide the tasks that you have so that you can focus on expansion more rather than just practically doing everything yourself. So you have a lot of experience in the wedding industry, and it's a trend that a lot of people wants to become a wedding photographer and wedding videographer, because I think that is probably one of the easiest way to get into the industry. And as you said before,
that's how I started.
That's how pretty much everyone start. What do you suggest to people who wants to start wedding photography, videography in 2024? What's the first thing they should be doing? Where they should be? What's the entry point into that?
That's a great question. So first of all, don't invest in the latest, greatest gear yet. There's a lot of places you can rent equipment. So book your event first, and then rent your equipment, and then reinvest into your business. So put that money aside and then save it up for latest, greatest gear that eventually you will be too busy to go and rent every weekend. So that's one point. Second, get involved in your community. A lot of people don't want to start big. but they don't know where to go. So starting one, I'd say starting your community is a great way to start. Is you'll know people that are getting married, for example, or just tell them like you want to gain experience, and then they'll understand that, and offer them a discount. Just say, I'm starting out, I'll give you a discount. I know how much they cost, but at the same time, let them know that you're starting out. They knew that if there is missing something or there's a mistake, that they're not going to blame you at the end of the day. Second or third, I should say, be second videographer or even third videographer. Put yourself with someone that's been doing this for a long time.
Be the learning position first.
Exactly. Shadow them, because there's a lot that you won't know. And then with time, you'll gain that experience. And you will make mistakes. Just know that these are something that trust me, with the wedding videography, one mistake,
there's a lot happening.
It's registered in your head, and you'll make sure you'll never make that mistake twice, because it's very crucial, right? So I think that's one advice I would give them. And there's, just get involved in your community, find out who's getting married. Second of all, don't buy your equipment right away. Invest in yourself, and then maybe year two, go out and buy whatever gear you need, and then just line yourself up with someone that's already doing it.
Makes sense. Like shadow them, learn them, and sometimes even just for the sake of learning, you can even just assist someone. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be expecting like, oh, I want to make money right off the bat. Like, I mean, like if you have zero experience in it and you're really keen to learn, you can literally just go and assist someone and say like, hey, I would love to assist you. Even if you're not shooting, just be with them, assist them, help them with their gear, something like that. Observe what's happening in the environment, and like that's one of the best way to learn. Speaking of mistakes in the wedding industry, has it ever happened to you that you either forgot to press a record on the wedding entry, or you think that you pressed record, and sometimes the buttons are so fiddly, it just didn't just go on record?
So one that kind of it's more of a recent incident that happened with me, and this was before the FX3, with the nice big button. I was using the A7 III, which has a small button, record button.
That's a dangerous button.
So again, this comes with learning experience as well, because I've been doing this at that point for 10 years. What happened was the bride side of the family was entering the groom's side to greet. It's traditional way of greeting the families getting together. Mm-hmm. So the bride side brings the gift over and the shoes for the wedding, and then they bring over gifts and then candy and drinks. So there's this whole meeting the two families for the first time. So I thought I had hit record. So I'm watching this as I'm filming this in my head. Yeah. And then I realized, I went to hit stop. I realized
it just started recording now.
It started recording now. And I'm like, okay, first thing, and this is very important, don't panic.
Yeah.
Don't panic. Because if you panic, they're going to know something happened.
Yep.
So I observed my environment, the scene, what just happened. And I noticed when they greeted each other, the bride and groom weren't standing beside each other. Mm-hmm. So it kind of didn't look good for the picture or for the video. So I said, guys, you guys can do better than this.
Let's do
this one more time. I go, look at where the groom's standing, look at where the bride's standing. It doesn't look good for for the video and for the photo. They're like, oh yeah, great point. They don't know, obviously, I didn't hit the record
and
button.
That comes with
experience. Exactly, it comes with
experience.
experience. So I told them, let's do this one more time, more energy, more excited. And I told the groom, when you see your wife, you're excited, you're seeing her for the first time, give her a nice hug, kiss, whatever, greet her. They're like, oh, thank you so much. They ended up thanking me, which was funny. Turned the situation around, and that was it. But obviously that was on my old camera, and then I made sure, even now, when I hit record, the red light is on, and with the FX3, it's different places, so it's right in your face, so you can't make that mistake.
But there's a big red box on the screen itself as well, showing that it's recording.
And a lot of the new updates, I think, with Sony, they have that red square.
SD cards. I've had horror stories with the SD cards. I'm like, one of my SD card got corrupted. And what happened actually, I recorded something, and it was like a very 2-hour event, like a very private function at someone's place. I came back home. I had to shoot the same function tomorrow as well, like another 2 hours. I did not copy the footage. I was using 256 gigs card. I was like, okay, you know what? Like sometimes you're just too tired. You're coming back
Yeah.
very late. You just left. I'll just
I've been
copy
there.
in the
I've been
morning,
there. Yeah.
and in the morning then you have to go back again. So I did not copy the data. I was like, okay, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to the same event. It's just part of the same event. I'm going to copy both together. So I shot two events, one SD card. Came back in the evening. I was so tired and I slept. A day later, I woke up. I was like, "Hey, I have not made backup of that SD card yet." I put the SD card in the SD card reader, and it's not reading. It's like SD card not
No,
readable.
worst nightmare.
And I'm like, "Oh my god!" It's like two events, both of them, not even one. These guys are gonna kill me. And I called you in panic. I was like,
Yeah, I
"Serge,
remember,
like,
I
what do I do? What do I do?" You give me a few things. Did not work. But luckily, one of the software that I had before, I upgraded the software to the newer version. It recovered the video. I copied it and I called the guys like, you need to come right now, either pick up the footage or download the footage right now from a Google Drive because I'm not keeping it. Has it ever happened to you that you've lost the footage?
So far in my experience, knock on wood, nothing crazy or dramatic has happened that way. But I did have an incident where, as you mentioned, I had two events back to back. So I used the drone footage to capture one event the day before, and I was going to use the same SD card on the second event to shoot the drone. But the day before, I had a same day edit, so I took the SD card out. I thought I put the SD card back in, but I lost that card. So I lost the footage of the drone that I shot. But luckily, and this is advice to everyone, whoever's shooting on drones, make sure you have cache files on your phone.
On your phone.
Because it did keep that at least, and I ended up using that, and I was delivering the file in 1080p. So and I just tweaked a bit and enhanced the footage in post. So that happened to me, and that was a big lesson because tiny SD cards, they're easily.
It's in the card reader. Sometimes you forget that it's even in the card reader.
Not only that you put it in your pocket. They're so tiny that you lose them, right? So that happened to me once. Another time, again, I was doing a same day edit for the wedding. So I was changing cards from the groom's house. Now, sorry, I had someone else shooting the groom's house. I was shooting the bride's house. Now we're going to a ceremony at church. So I took the old SD card out, and I wanted to make sure that the one I was putting in was a new one. So as I was taking the old one out from the bride's house, I put it back to see if it's all there. For some reason, it wasn't reading the card, and then for a second there, I panicked. I'm like, okay, you know what? Don't panic. We'll figure something out. Again, you don't want to lose your cool in front of especially at a wedding. So I'll figure this out. I'm sure it's nothing. So I ended up shooting the rest of the ceremony on the new SD card. So long story short, I took the corrupt file and I inserted in my laptop and I ran first aid. And I think what happened was because I used that same card on another camera before, it had somehow the index file got corrupted.
Yeah.
But the laptop was able to fix it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, lesson learned, especially now with the newer cameras. If you have dual, SD card, record on both. Record. That's 100%. You can't, especially for a wedding. It's very, very important. So I record on both, and I've made also a habit to not only back up the files the same day, even though it's 1 a.m. Trust me, guys.
Doesn't matter how tired you are. You have to.
You have to, because it only takes that one time something goes wrong, and especially with a wedding, you don't want that to be a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah, because with the corporate video, you can still reshoot the interview if, God forbid, something goes bad.
Exactly.
The wedding, they're not going to get married.
It's only going to happen once. Exactly. Yeah. So advice: shoot on two cards, back up the card on a hard drive, external hard drive, and also back it up on a different location. If you have a studio, back it up on the studio. If you're at home, make sure you have two different locations, and don't shoot on that same card until you're few events in.
Yep.
In case both hard drives fail, or God forbid, the place burns down and you lose the external hard drive that you backed it up, you at least have the SD card.
SD cards, yep.
So what I do is I make a schedule and I shoot certain events on SD card, and let's just say 4 weeks gone by and I've caught up with my edit.
Yeah.
Then I'll either reformat or just reuse it.
And that's actually pretty smart. I mean, like recently I've started doing that as well. Like if I've shot one video, a training video, corporate video, even wedding, I mean, like I'll put those SD cards aside, like at least for like a couple of weeks. I won't touch it. and make a double backup in your hard drive, shoot on 2 SD cards.
Very important.
Because ever since that one card that got corrupted, I got so scared. And in fact, I started buying separate hard drives for every wedding.
That's a
I'm
good
just
idea
putting
too.
them on the SSDs. I'm like, it's like $70, $80 for 1 TB SSD. So buy one hard drive for each wedding project. Just put it aside, edit on that hard drive because its SSD is going to be really fast. Make your workflow much more efficient as well. So make sure you guys make it a habit. I mean, like, you're getting paid like 2,000, 2,500, 15, or whatever you're getting paid for a wedding. It's not bad. It's very beneficial for you to invest into a separate hard drive for each project. Even in the SD cards, ever since my SD card got corrupted, I started buying SD cards like hell. Like, I was like, I need to buy as much as possible. Sometimes I'm not even reusing that SD card. I'm so scared because if I know this is a very important project, I'm even going to keep that SD card as a backup in one of my drawer, name it, tag it, that this is the SD card for that project. And SD cards, 120 gigs like for $20. So it's always like wise to buy as many SD cards as possible.
For sure. If there's one advice you're going to take from this podcast is this section we just discussed, because it's trust me, very, very crucial, very important, because your name can be ruined and your reputation right away, especially with reviews, very transparent. They'll just leave a review and no one will trust you in the future. And you don't want that, because bad news spreads fast, especially in your community. If you're doing a lot of community, like your background, depending what your background is, and it'll spread fast.
We've talked about the problems and all that. I want to hear a funny story. What is the funniest incident that has happened to you, whether it's in the wedding industry or shooting a product video, corporate video, that still makes you laugh?
Well, to me, it's very important to always have fun, right? Joke around, but get to know your client too. You can't really joke around with everyone because not everyone has the same sense of humor. And always bring your best when you show up to these things, because you don't know what kind of day your client is having. You can't bring your own personal issues to the set, especially because they'll sense it. But I remember this was before COVID, so maybe 3-4 years ago, I was producing 4 different 1-minute videos of different product launches. And because each video was going to be 4 minutes, each 4 video was going to be 1 minute long each, so roughly around 60 seconds. I was sitting, the client wasn't there. Don't want to say who the client is, but she couldn't be there. So she had sent her assistant, and we're just going through the briefing process. And I was explaining to the assistant that, in order to, we're shooting 4 videos in different locations in the house. So one's kitchen, one's bedroom, one's bathroom. We also need a second backup day in case we don't finish these videos. So the assistant turned around and said to me, well, these are 1-minute videos. And I said, yeah. And he goes, it's going to take the whole day? I said, yes. And I wasn't sure. I thought they were being sarcastic or funny. I said, yeah, but they're only 1-minute videos. And I now I'm thinking in my head, are they being sarcastic or being serious at this point? Because just because it's 1-minute video doesn't mean it's going to take a minute to shoot these videos.
Exactly.
You have different scenes, so you have to set up your each scene.
Your lights and like angles, cameras, and everything.
Exactly. And then within that 60 seconds or 1 minute, you have different segments that you have to, focus on. You have the talent speaking, you have your B-roll, holding the product. So, yeah, we're delivering 60 seconds at the end, but doesn't mean we're going to hit record. It's going to be 60 seconds and it's done. Exactly. So I found that pretty interesting. And I'm like, wow, I guess I can't be just naive and thinking that the person in front of me knows what I'm talking about.
So I had a very funny incident because I've been into the sound design and music production for almost 20 plus years as well, 23 years this year. And back home in Pakistan, when I was initially working as a music producer, so I had a friend, he and we were working on a jingle, and it was more like a Skittles, local version of a Skittles. Like you have candies of every different fruit flavors. And we produced a jingle. So in the jingle, in the video, there's different fruits that are talking to each other. And agency hired her, and the candy was the client for the agency. We went to the meeting for the preview and all that, and the client is watching it like this, and he's very quiet, very silent, and all of a sudden he said the banana does not sound like banana in the ad. And I'm like, It's like, should I laugh? And then my friend is
What does a
like,
banana sound like?
it's like, my friend is like, should we talk? I was like, I will let the agency deal with this.
Yeah.
Like, and also the strawberry doesn't sound like strawberry. And I'm like, okay, shit. How do we deal with this thing? How do we make banana sound like banana? So everyone started panicking. It's like, what do we say? Like how? And the agency guys, they were like baffled. It was like,
Yeah.
what kind of
That's
feedback is that? And after a while, I figured it out. I was like, okay, you know what? Just calm down. It's a funny moment. I'm like, the guy probably is referring to something in his own language. Maybe he does not
He's
know
having
the
a hard time
lingo. He's having a hard time
explaining
explaining it.
Yeah.
So initially it was funny, and then with the experience, obviously because I've been in the industry for 20 years, I figured it out. And my agency client is like, bro, I still cannot figure out what he meant by bananas. I was like, okay, here's the thing. Banana is always like, connected to the masculinity. So he probably wanted a more
voice.
masculine,
Yeah.
deeper voice for the banana. And strawberry is more like the feminine, like very soft. So he probably want more feminine, more softer voice for, or maybe a more seductive voice for the strawberry.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I mean, like,
Makes
because-
sense, yeah.
Because banana is more like aphrodisiac. It's like, but yeah, but the candies are for kids. I was like, talk to him. If the candies are for kids, why does he want masculinity? But he probably want more like of a boyish voice for the banana and maybe more like a girlish voice for the strawberry, because it sounded more cartoonish. He wanted it to be more humanoid kind of thing. So that was like, make banana sound like banana. I was like, have you ever heard talking banana?
I mean, it's very important during our briefings, and this is why we have these meetings to get to know the client and get to know what message they want to have in these videos. And creative briefs are very important for that. The tone of the video, the length of it, all these things that with experience you'll learn over time.
We'll fix it in the post. That kind of this is one of those things. We'll fix it in the post.
I don't know. I'd rather shoot it once and get it right and then try to fix it in post, because I've had incidences where, we missed a word, or a certain person didn't pronounce it the right way. So these are the things, again, you ask your client, how do you pronounce this word? Because we don't know. Especially if it's a new brand that's coming out. We don't know how it's pronounced. So it depends on an ingredient. How is that ingredient pronounced as well, right? A lot of times I deal with products that have ingredients listed on there, and I don't know how to pronounce it. So it's important to get the client. Don't assume that this is how it's
Don't
pronounced.
assume that you know it.
Yeah, because it's going to bite you in the ass, like they said. At the end of the day, you're going to have to either re-record that voiceover or reshoot the scene. And you don't want to do that because it's going to be on your time, on your dime.
And one more thing that I've learned from Serge in this industry is always do second take. Sometimes it bothers you, like, man, I'm gonna waste time. But even though the person on the camera has nailed it, always do another take, because what happens, the person is not aware of what he's talking about, because he's more conscious of, like, he wants to look good on the camera, he wants to get the message across. And you sometimes as a videographer are focusing on maybe lighting, maybe angle, maybe his hand gesture, maybe you missed a word, something like that. So it's always good to have like a second take, because I've experienced that and I've learned this from this guy as well. Always do the second take as well as a safety.
And speaking of shooting, these days, if I think pretty much everyone has a 4K camera, even if your client just wants a 1080p footage, shoot it 4K.
Shoot 4K.
Because gives you more room, more flexibility. You can punch it in, crop it in post, and it just looks cleaner. Yeah. So my suggestion would be shoot 4K.
And to be honest with you, the cameras, the camera company also wants you to shoot on 4K, because on HD, they never give you the best settings of the bitrate and all that. It's always on the 4K as well. Yeah. Has any client ever filled your heart the way they behave with you? It's like, oh my God, this is very heart touching, like the way they treated you. Because oftentimes videographers are treated as videographers. Oftentimes videographers are like, oh, you're just a camera guy, do your job and get out of here. But sometimes few people just say something like that just like resonates you with so much with you, and it's like, okay, well, he's a very kind guy. I'm like, and you said this is exactly why I do what I do.
I've just been very fortunate and lucky that I've had great clients. I guess it's just a reflection of who I am and my character, and I'm kind of attracted to, like-minded people as well. I do get feedback, positive feedback most of the time, and I learn from also giving feedback to other people as well, because that's how you learn and that's how you go. Not all feedback is going to be great, but the most of the ones that like heartfelt were the ones that, I was at an event, or for example, I'll come back for the event, but I as I mentioned, I do a lot of wedding videography. So to hear the bride or the family of the bride or the groom saying, my wife's happy after watching this, she was crying, or to hear from a client that every year on their anniversary, they rewatch their videos 10 years later. That's like very heartwarming that, I appreciate that, hearing that kind of feedback. And going back to event, I did an event, a 1-week event in Mexico a few years ago, and I was supposed to capture all the behind the scenes stuff. And I had very short amount of time to put everything together, and I deliver it. And then the pressure was on me because it's like time consuming, and everyone was there on a big screen watching. And at the end, I saw some people getting emotional because I was capturing some fun stuff that they were doing, and it was very heartwarming. And the attention turned to everyone applauding me. I was like, I kind of felt uncomfortable because I'm not used to that attention.
Always
right, but I humbly accepted
Yeah.
that, and it goes to show. It's just a reassurance for me that
People appreciate what you do.
Appreciate, and I'm also like doing what I love. And I give the advice to anyone: just find that what you're really great. We're all great at something, right? So find that what you're really great at and focus on that. Don't worry about the money, because a lot of times people want to get into this industry for the money. Year two, you'll be out.
You're not gonna last that long.
You're not.
You're gonna be stressed out.
100%. So do it because you have a passion for creating content. Three principles I follow by in my life is do something creative, which I'm already doing. Number 2, take care of yourself, because that's very important as well. You're no good to anyone if you're burned out and unhealthy. And number 3, help someone else. If it's in this industry, help someone else also get a kickstart, and guide them, be a mentor. I didn't have anyone mentoring me, so I'd made a lot of mistakes. That's how I learned. But if I can help someone and mentor them, why not? It just that comes back to you 10 times, believe it or not. So yeah, those are the 3 principles I go by.
And as you said, how people treat you is partly reflection of who you are and how you treat other people as well. And recently, in fact, this week, one of the things that happened that really filled my heart, I was like, oh my God, wow, this felt really good. So I have a client. It's one of the biggest software companies in the world. I've been working with them for 5 years, mostly editing their content, not shooting, because they just send me the footage and all that. And recently, one of their finance accounts, because at the end of the day they settle, so they messaged me and said, Joseph is trying to reach you out on the email. He hasn't been able to, so he asked me to find out if Shezan is okay, because I haven't heard from him. And I was like, I did not receive the email. Maybe the email, the spelling got messed up. But I was thinking, okay, because I usually send out a lot of messages to many people that I don't hear back from. If I haven't, it's hey man, just checking in, you're good and all that, because that's who I am.
Yeah,
I always check up on people. And I was for a few minutes, I was just sitting there very emotional. I was someone cares. And these are the kind of people that I'm really grateful for having. We often share very heartfelt conversation as well about the spirituality, connection, and relationships and all that. And
it's important.
That just filled my heart, and I was just so grateful. I thank God as well. I was okay, you know what? Thank you for blessing such people in my life that who are actually thinking about it. I've not met that guy ever in my life. I probably share only few emails in the entire 365 days, 3 or 4 times, and yet I was on his mind if I'm okay or not. So if you have these kind of clients, make sure you take care of them, because
and hold on to them. Yeah,
hold on to them. Trust me, I'm it's not about the money with these kind of people as well.
No, and it's true what you're saying. It's funny enough. Most of my clients that I get, it's usually 80% at this point is referral, but it's referral from people that I've only maybe met once or twice in my life. Yeah. But I obviously had an impact on them. Yeah. And this is why, going back to what I was saying, it's very important how you present yourself. Bring your A game. Yeah. Because you think no one's watching.
They're watching.
But they're watching.
Observing.
They're watching and observing. And going back to what you're saying, speaking of watching you and observing you, I did a wedding a few years ago, and I had a team. It was myself, another photographer. And at the end of the day, this older gentleman came up to me and said, "I've been watching you all day." And he said, "I can tell you enjoy what you do." He goes, "Keep it up." And going back to that was a heartfelt moment for me, because it's someone appreciated and was watching. And another advice I'll give to newcomers or rookies in this industry: it's going to be long hours. A lot of times you're going to be hungry, especially if you're shooting 16-hour wedding or event. Yeah. Take breaks, but in front of the client, don't sit down. Yeah. Always be on your, and you'll understand why. Always be on your feet. Always be attentive and alert, because they're investing in you, and they don't want to see somebody slacking or sitting down.
Yeah.
Even if you have a team with you, make sure you relay this message to your team as well.
Yep.
Because it goes to show them that their main focus is them, not you.
I've been working with Collision for the past 2 years, and I've had like a big team, like of 8 videographers, and it's like if I have 8 videographers working for me, I don't need to be shooting as well. I need to be delegating, even though the Collision team assign each videographer their task, because obviously they had the producers. I was still on the floor running all day from one camera person to another camera person, and talking to them, always engaging with the team in the Collision. It's like, what is it? I'm like giving them ideas as well. So like, do you guys want to shoot this? You want to have this that way? And at the end of the day, they acknowledge that part. So like, it's like, Shezan, what we loved about you, it's like, even though you had a team, you weren't needed on the floor because you had the team. We had assigned the task, but you own this project. Like you are one of the producers on Collision team, and the way you supervise your team was pretty good. So I'm like, so take note, don't sit, and always be alert, and always be in the supervision mode. Before we end, any message or suggestions or tip or anything that you want to say to our photographer and videographer industry?
Number one, surround yourself with like-minded people. It's not a competition. They're going to need you. You're going to need them. It's team effort. I've called on you on many projects because I know I can rely on you, and you're good in what you do. So whenever I think of a project, I said, who can I assign this to? You know, you're there on my list because I know I've worked with you. I know your style as well. So surround yourself with like-minded people. Number one reason, don't do it for the money. Don't chase money. Chase your dreams. If this is your dream, money will come. Trust me. Oftentimes people do this for the money, and year 2, maximum year 3, they're out of business because they've invested too much on the business and not themselves. Yep. Invest in you first. Right? Build your foundation, know the industry, and start niche. Don't go big. Don't go into real estate. Don't go into natural health. Don't go into commercial or industrial or whatever. Find the niche that you're good at. If you're good at, you love cooking, create content in baking and cooking, and know your industry inside out. Right? Talk your client's language. Learn their language. Right? What's their mission, vision, and values of that company? Align yourself with that, with those goals. And then once you understand your client's relationship, you just become an extension of their family.
Exactly.
And then the first person they'll think of is you, because you've been there.
Exactly.
And lastly, have patience and have fun. Right? We're here to do this to have fun. Right? And that's it.
With the content creation, because I've been there. I've had many YouTube channels before. I've had many Facebook pages before as well. And sometimes what's happening, initially I wanted to do it for the money. I was like, man, the videos are going viral. I need to be making money. Trust me, I did not make a single penny. Not a single penny. Like even though my videos went viral, I did not make a single penny. And that's when I started figuring out, I was like, it's not about the money. And the kind of engagement people gave me, the kind of comments people were giving me, they're asking me questions, and I'm responding to their queries. I'm giving them solutions. It's like, man, you're the best. Thanks for helping me out, man. I was looking for this. And I was like, bro, I'm helping people out.
Yeah.
So that gave me a completely different kind of high. I was like, bro, that is the high that I should be chasing for. Because the kind of energy it gave me, I was like, damn, the money wasn't giving me that if I was chasing the money. And trust me, after a while, my social media started paying me off as well. Why? Because I shifted my focus in helping someone out.
That's what it is.
I shifted my focus in providing value first, and then the value started chasing me automatically. Yeah. So always provide value first, then the whatever that you're desiring is going to come to you. Trust me. So Serge, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm really happy the first episode was with you.
You're welcome, man. I want to do this more often because we could be here for 10 hours.
Trust me, we have so many stories, man. Trust me, like we can't name, but we're going to discuss those stories in the future podcast.
And this is a good start for whoever's wants to get into this industry. It's a great industry, and hard work does pay off. Just be patient, like I said. And you're in a position that's very important. The client's putting their trust in you, and you're becoming the observer. If I want to be a little philosophical here, you're the observer of that event that's happening, unfolding, and you're looking through your lens, and you're capturing those moments for them. And then you're going back into post and selecting the best parts of that event unfold, packaging it up, and then delivering to your client. And to me, I'll do this for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
I don't need to retire.
Nah, man, trust me. I plan to create content and make videos for as long as I can. Even if I'm not on the field, if I'm just supervising it, I'm still going to be attached to this industry.
Yeah,
I'm still going to
same.
be producing, if not like shooting myself. I'm still going to be either directing or producing, if not editing or shooting. That's it for today. I hope you guys learned a lot of stuff about how to get started into the wedding industry, the corporate industry, in the content creation. If there are any questions, any feedback, please do it in the comment section. Shezan Salim Joji with Serge signing off for this podcast. See you in the next episode. And make sure, hit that subscribe button and make that bell go ding, ding, ding so that you get the front row seat for the future content. Take care.